Regular council meeting of the Village of Armada will now come to order July 27th. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call for the clerk, please.
Shaw?
Here.
Clark?
Here.
Cronin?
Here.
Bullock?
Here.
Baylor?
Here.
Cooper? Here. Belkey? Here. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, everybody.
See, I haven't answered.
You knew she was thinking.
Approval of the agenda. What's the council's wishes, please?
I'd like to take the non-compete class salvage title off. We're still in the process. We thought we'd be ready for that yet, but we're not. So I'd like to take that off the agenda, please.
And we need to change
B.
B from account for the Parks Commission for the salvage title.
Oh, not Parks Commission.
No, we've already done
We already
that.
did that one.
That was a cut and paste issue on my part.
Mr. President, I'd like to drop the St. Mary's storm sewer. I've not had a chance to talk to the trustees about
Okay, you mean at the church
it.
then?
At the church, right.
And what about also the drain commission? Did you?
I have a call to the Drain Commission.
Oh, you have a call.
Yes.
So we got changes there on the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support?
By Ballard. Any further discussion, please? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me. Any citizens' comments from the audience?
Hey, good night.
Well, you're kind of empty back
Okay, for the citizens' comments. We have no presentations tonight. The administrative reports.
I don't have anything to give you from F&B. I did try and stop in about every other week or once a week down there and talk to Chuck, see what's going on. And I'll see him the next couple of days, see what happened to our report.
Yeah, because that's due at every
Yep.
second meeting. So I think we should give them that writing and in writing. The fact is, we don't want that to happen anymore.
Okay.
If you need me to sign a letter, Steve, I'll be glad to. Because they've been told many times, and it's due to us.
I have a commissioner report for the police. We received a note from Ackett's. They had a law enforcement appreciation. Actually, it was only like a week where they were selling t-shirts and they were going to donate the money to local police departments. So the Armada one sent us a note saying, to the Armada Police Department, thank you for everything you do to protect and serve. We are grateful for your hard work, dedication, and continued loyalty to our community. Please accept this donation collected from our Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. Thank you. Ackett's handmade pie in Armada, and it was for $95.92.
Good.
So that's very nice of them.
95.92.
Mm-hmm.
You send it off.
Thank you note, yeah. We do that, Michelle, please.
I'll take care of it.
Or, okay, fine, Chief, thank you.
Can I get a copy of that, Sherry? Can I have that record?
Yep.
Also, on your treasurer's reports, you'll notice there's a note at the top that says that the report, general fund, and the now accounts are without bank reconciliation. Internet issue, the computer and I had a difference of opinion today. Computer one. So,
We all had issues.
That sounds expensive.
it just won't print.
Oh, gee.
Besides, it just will not print, so. I can't get the bank recs.
You weren't having a problem with balances, or?
No, just trying to get the computer to cooperate. It would print the bank recs. So without the bank recs, I can't do reconciliation, so.
You need me to sign this, it says
Yes.
person on top.
Which one is it?
Okay.
Which brand? Only a pathetic pink and blue ink, that's the only color,
Okay.
print.
Too bad, missed citizens' comments.
That's a matter of
Chad
opinion.
said, yeah.
We're not very good.
Thank you.
I know them quite well.
General business, consent agenda, approval of the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there support?
Support.
By Conan. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. There's no old business tonight, we're gonna go to the new business now. And within the police department is the first one, Sherry, your
Yes.
department, please.
Yes, and Chief is here too. If he has anything to input, please feel free. But we have 2 police officers that have shown, exemplary service over the last lots of years. 9 years. And so the first one is Detective Sharp. Chief would like to move for him to be considered Detective Sergeant, just a title change. He is under contract, so financially he would still be the same pay as what he is now, it would just be a change in title. And then the other one, would like to start a mobile patrol sergeant, and Mike Patrick is the one that Chief would like to acknowledge for that. And maybe Chief can go over a little bit.
First off, I'd like to say hello to the 2 new trustees and congratulations. What I'm trying to do here and move forward a little bit, and Mr. President, I don't quite know how they did it. I know that, I think you were chief, you were sergeant, I think you were lieutenant. None of those are in the policies and procedures, but every time I've been out of town, I've always in placed an acting chief. Detective Sharp did it quite a bit, and there have been times when Detective Sharp's been unavailable, and I've had Mike Patrick do it. I've never had anybody work for me in the 37 years I've been doing this. I've never had a police officer that I've had so many citizen compliments on than Mike Patrick. Mike Patrick has a real feel for community. He was a supervisor when he was with Mount Clemens. The amount of people in this community that come up to me and talk to me about Mike Patrick is phenomenal, and I think he is a perfect person to move up, so the officers have somebody that they can go to if I'm not around. And then Detective Sharp, with the investigations that he's handled, his input, his help during the homicide. He's the range master. He handles the property room. And we had discussed once before about the possibility of promoting Detective Sharp to Detective Sergeant. At that point in time, he didn't have the requisite training. We have got Detective Sharp the requisite training. We have got Officer Patrick the requisite training. And I still want to move forward, and then we put it in the budget. We budgeted $3,000 this year to send Officer Patrick to Staff and Command. I would like to still further do that, and promoting him to the position of Sergeant would just put him in a place that makes sense to now move him on to Staff and Command. When Trustee Cooper mentioned that there is no pay change for Detective Sharp, Detective Sharp actually is the one that put that in place. What he requested was he requested to be a sergeant, and I think that that's an appropriate thing to do. And when he said it, he said, "And I'll do it for the same money." So I'm okay with that. I was good with that. I didn't make any changes with that. If we do go ahead and move Officer Patrick to Sergeant Patrick, my thought was they're both doing the same job. we would bring Officer Patrick up to the same pay scale as Detective Sharp. And what I did with that was I took a look at how many hours Officer Patrick worked last year. And I figured if we make the change and pay him the same as Detective Sharp, this year the department would notice, I want to say about a $1,500 difference by bumping his pay to the same as Detective Sharp's. Next year, it would be somewhere around $4,500, but there may be changes in the police department coming up next year that would more than accommodate that pay change. So that's my request.
Any discussion?
If you'll notice, the second motion was just to create a part-time position with that title. It wasn't to name somebody. That was Jeff's request, because it is a position. So if changes happen next year and Officer Patrick moves to another position, this position's still created for anybody else you see fit.
So we shouldn't add his name in
Not
there?
for this one, no. He said no, just to, I mean, but that,
Just as a point of reference for me, so we established the position of sergeant. We agree that there's a position of sergeant. Do I get to appoint who I want?
you know what, we didn't go that far with Jeff. I mean, I assume you'd
Well-
still bring it to council like you did Detective Sharp, but.
So we gotta wait another whole meeting to do that? I mean,
Well-
No, you can, you
let's-
do this, because you said you were gonna do presentations at the next meeting,
right.
possibly, so that would name him then. So, because you're giving him the presenting him with
Okay.
whatever you're doing, I don't know what you're doing. You said badges, or,
Yeah, well, the only reason I ask the question is if we're gonna do this in a spot for future, then we should probably identify who makes the decision
Right,
on who the sergeant's gonna be.
sure.
This particular time, I'm not trying to pull a fast one. I'm not saying, can I appoint who I want? The person I want is Mike Patrick. All I'm saying is,
Future.
yeah, exactly.
Is it the chief's appointment of it, or is it a council appointment is what you're asking? So when
I
if it
guess
changes,
that's
it'd be the chief.
Well,
he-
I would say it would be a
I
departmental
would say.
decision.
I would.
Has
I think so.
in the past, when we promoted somebody, you made the recommendation and the council confirmed it?
Yeah, and I
It seems like the council was always part of those
It's
decisions.
all in the past.
I don't ever remember us not going with your recommendation.
Well, the only one that's ever happened about 8 years ago when we made Detective Sharp. That's the only person I've promoted.
And that was brought to council at that time.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was.
And we want these to go into effect August 1st.
Yeah.
So do we have to add that on here too, at the end of the motions?
Yes, we could, yes.
Especially if
Yes,
there's a change in
yeah.
pay, we really should
Yeah.
have that on there too, right?
So Dave, are you saying because of precedent, you'd like it to stay the way it is?
He said just to, since it's a new part-time position within the.
I like the way it's been that
He
it's
said
come
to
to
make it
us.
just
with,
that. I
you know,
mean,
no
we could
offense to
name
you,
Mike
Chief.
maybe after.
No, I've got no problem with that. I'm just trying to clarify.
Like I say, I never recall us, in previous
Yeah.
chiefs.
So if that's the way you want it, we have to put Mike Patrick's name on here then, or else
I
we'd
think
have to
what
come
we-
back for his recommendation.
I
Make
think
a
what we
second
should
motion.
do, take the chief's recommendation and appoint.
Make it another motion.
Right.
Right.
Just make it a third motion.
Then he's covered right
Yep,
away.
yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make the first one. I make a motion to promote Detective James Sharp to Detective Sergeant with no change in wage or benefits as of August 1st.
Second.
Can I say effective?
Yes.
She did.
Yes.
Effective, that's good.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on? I hear none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I'd also like to make a motion to create a new part-time position of mobile patrol sergeant as a part-time position in the Armada Police Department at an hourly rate of $19.50 effective August 1st.
Support.
Moved and supported, discussion. If not, all in,
I'm gonna do a roll call because it's a,
Yeah, it's money.
it's
Oh,
money,
okay.
so.
I
Um,
forgot about spending money.
Cooper,
Yes.
Ballard,
Yes.
Belkey,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Conan,
Yes.
Wolak.
Yes. Motion carried.
And then the last one, I'd like to make a motion per chief's recommendation to have Mike, what do we say? Mobile patrol, or Officer Mike Patrick take the position of mobile patrol sergeant effective August 1st.
Can you
Support.
slow that down, please?
Supported by Art.
Hold on, I gotta get
Sure.
it from Sherry.
What do you have so far?
Per Chief Smith's recommendation, hold on.
Excuse me.
To appoint
God bless you.
Michael.
Michael Patrick as
Mobile
the
Patrol Sergeant.
mobile patrol sergeant.
Effective August 1st.
August 1st. Okay.
Got this supported by Clark.
Yep, Cooper Clark. Okay.
No further discussion. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Well, just so you know, next meeting, we're gonna ask them to come in and up to them if they want their families, and Chief and I'll present them with the certificates and the badges and things like that.
At
So,
least this is going to be on camera so that
yes, it will
our
be.
citizens know
Know who
that they are.
Exactly.
Well, I think most of our citizens know the fire detective sheriff.
Chief, do you want to stay for the next one too
Sure.
for a second? Thank you.
All right, here, let me see.
The bank resolution?
I didn't know about this one.
I put that down as you, Joe. The
Okay.
your item.
We're going to go to the salvage title.
Oh,
To open an account for the salvage title. Sherry, did you want?
I just have
No,
it for
actually,
Joe.
it's mine.
Joe's her agenda. item.
That's per our auditor's recommendation.
Mhm.
No. That's per our auditor's recommendation that due to the state guidelines and the monitoring that they have of the forms, that it would be easier to track and keep a clean record of transitions and money and transactions that the police department does. And they also stated that what they audited for this past year to 2 years, that they went back from the state's recommendations, that our police department is probably one of the better departments as far as keeping records of this
Mhm.
that they've seen. So,
I just have a quick question. When we cut checks now for it, it has the office's signatures on it, right? It doesn't have like anyone in the police department's signatures. When we cut a check for a salvage title, it's paid out of our general fund, so it comes out with general.
it's going to be paid out of that bank account. not
Okay.
like- will
So it
have
still
its
have the
own-
same signers as our general fund?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then the last one I have is, right now, the name of the checking account is Salvage Title Inspections. Would you rather have it say program in there? Because if you say Salvage Title Inspections, isn't it narrowing it down because it is really a program that we're running, not just inspections? Because we have money going out for supplies as well.
It's under the state guidelines, and the state guidelines say salvage title inspections is
Okay.
the program itself. That's what those officers do.
Right.
I
I just wasn't sure if there was any further clarification we needed in the name of that checking account.
Because
I don't think we need it to keep it clear, and I think as long as we are still sticking with the parameters as set up by the state and by the National Auto Theft Bureau, as long as the auditors are happy to see that the money going out falls within the, the
Right.
guidelines of the program, I think we're fine.
Okay, so it doesn't matter.
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect.
And there's so limited checks that actually get written out of that account.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to order checks until such time that changes.
Right.
There's no sense putting that expense out there and having to order a minimum of 250 to 500 checks on a commercial account. I will simply transfer it to the general. Still shows the paper trail, and then the general will write the check as it's done in the past.
And it's CSV, which is a free account too.
Yes, yes, it's a no charge.
Perfect.
Okay,
Today.
Question for the chief. But if you said the auditors are happy with things, I guess things must be well, but Do the guys have a log that they keep for doing all these?
I don't know, I'd like to say it was some, great intelligence that figured this out, but not really. What we did is when we started doing it, is we started doing a verification sheet. Who was doing it, how the money was received, how much money was received, the payer, and then when the officers do these, there's a salvage vehicle inspection form that comes from the state that's numbered. Those numbers, they have to stay within the program. They have to stay that all the numbers, almost like traffic ticket citations, all the numbers have to be accounted for.
Right.
Those numbers are transposed onto this form. So the officers, they go do it, they fill out the state form, they fill out our form, the money stays with that. When it comes to me, that form comes to me, I verify that the monies are correct. From there, I do and the officers do a call for service when they do the inspections. I do a call for service when I turn the money over to the offices, and then Becky takes it, and then she verifies that all the money's correct, that all the numbers are matching up with the forms that are going out. So, and then the auditors, we've been doing this, 3 years now? The auditors came back and said, we want to go back 2 years and take a look at this, which kind of irked me because we have hundreds of these, and they said they wanted it. I went back, I showed, Becky what they wanted, they showed it to the auditors said that's perfect. We provided them all the documentation, and it all fell in place. So we are very good at making sure that the money's all there. There's actually 3 checks in place, and the auditors initially had thought, don't do cash. We don't want to do cash.
Right.
A lot of these guys are doing 1 car every 3 months. That's what they deal in. They deal in cash. So that's built the program, and as long as we've got all these checks and balances in place, keep bringing me the cash. I'm good with it.
Okay.
Then there's a final check actually, so that the officers have to send this inventory sheet in to the state to get some new forms. That's the way it was when.
Yeah, and that's the way it still is. They can't get the forms until they're down to 10%. They are doing so many though. The state is now freeing up how many that they're sending to us.
They were waiting for them.
I think they did 63.
And the forms have a specific number
Yeah.
on them too?
All
Just like
Yeah.
a citation.
And they're only given just that number of block of forms,
Yep.
and they have to account for every one of them.
It used to be 25 forms
No, it's
per
more than
officer
that now.
at a time,
Yeah.
unless they've changed. Like
Yeah.
Chief
Well, and it was, they have allowed our officers to bump up to 50.
Well, see, that's good because the number
Yeah.
the money they're bringing in has been so great.
Okay.
Thank you,
So,
Chief.
Thanks, yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, have a good day. Thanks, everybody.
Good job.
Sherry, the motion then would just go Village of Armada Police Department salvage vehicle inspection.
Oh, I have to put police department first?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the attached resolution to allow the treasurer to open a checking account named the Village of Armada Police Department Salvage Title Inspections.
You need to name the signers too. That's why I do you that resolution, Michelle.
But if you approve the resolution, the signers are on the resolution.
Okay? As long as you're approving that resolution.
Yeah,
then
that's what you're
okay.
doing, you're approving the attached resolution, so.
I'll support.
Over the support. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Next is our East Main Street project. Mr. Bell.
The last progress meeting, contractors and engineers have stated that the job is on schedule. I see that today, or the last week, in putting the edge drains down on the edge. So that's getting going, and progress is being made. So that's what all I can say. We have run into a couple people that have requested, was it 1 or 2, Joe, that requested the approaches be moved
One is
A driveway approach.
one is asking for an approach that was never there.
Right,
But we did note that there were some approaches on the
there was,
on the
okay.
plan that they didn't have included, that those
Didn't have
need to be
included.
put there.
Okay, so we had one that wants an approach put in off of Main Street where they used to enter on Spencer Street. And then we found a couple more that there weren't approaches on the plans that were there, driveway approaches that were there before. So we got that straightened out, and we'll go from there. Next progress meeting is a week from tomorrow.
August the 4th.
August 4th.
Week from tomorrow, and I will be there.
And Lyle, as of now, the road will be closed during the fair.
We'll be closed during the fair.
We don't want to jeopardize our funds with federal monies. If there's any damages, even if it was completed, the fact is, they would not reimburse our village. So it'd be solely on the taxpayers. And we've been so lucky to get this money. I feel myself, over the number of years, nothing has been done to this street. So I think it's a welcoming factor that we accepted. And so I think we have to follow through on it, much to our dislike. And so with that, I think Mr. Ballard has been following through real good on this and to make sure that things are really progressing. So, and they are assuring us that, they are going to try to complete, as much as they can do. So, but like I said, we don't want any wear and tear on this new road that has been, in a quandary for years. So I think, it's good that we accepted this money too.
Is there a plan for fairgoers, visitors to our town, on how they will not use the road? or-
Well, there's been some new signs. I talked with Joe on this, and she has been with the engineers, talking about that. They ordered them through the state barricades, the way I understand it too. So they will get these signs, they will erect the signs in the given areas. So it should be really mapped good.
And we've been in communication with the fair board as well. Representative came to the last progress meeting. So the transition should be pretty smooth if between east and west and north and south, everything is routed down Fulton, straight to Armada Center. The fair is making ample arrangements to make sure there's adequate parking at the north end of the fair, at the
They put a ticket gate up there and all
yes,
that?
there'll be a ticket booth there,
Just
everything, they have
move to
additional parking, even 10 acres across the streets for any overflow parking. So most all traffic will come in from that way, the same way with that Olmo Road. There'll be ample signs out there that directs fair traffic down Olmo to the Armada Center, and it actually should lighten the congestion a lot.
Will pedestrians still be able to go in the fair?
Fair gate, yeah, you can walk Prospect, Fair Street, get into the fair gates that way with walk
They would
traffic.
prefer that pedestrians stay out of the construction zone.
Yes,
Say that.
that's why I say down
And
Prospect
safety
and Fair,
Yes,
not
well,
down Main Street.
it's not gonna be, even the, behind the curbs may not be filled in. If it is, it's gonna be loose. You don't want
Yes, sir.
anybody falling and getting injured. So pedestrian traffic is encouraged to go down Prospect Street.
And I did see today
Fair
they're
Street.
closed sidewalk signs that they'll be erecting.
Okay, good. Is that in an email?
No, I saw
Oh,
the
you
signs
saw
out
that?
there.
Oh,
I
okay,
actually
all right.
physically
Then
saw
they
the
got- all
signs.
right, good.
So,
Well, the sooner they get that stuff up too, the people can, see it and, follow
Right.
through on it better. So, like, we don't want anybody hurt in this part, so, when you have to lay around in the hospital bed or whatever to recuperate, it's no fun, so, like,
We prefer no injuries.
for no injuries.
Mr. President, I also have a call in to Mr. Moskovich at the County Drain Board. He's the gentleman that we want to turn some of this over at St. Mary's talk with him, see if this emergency grant fund is available. He has not called me back yet, apparently he's probably just going on vacation or something. I will be calling him tomorrow.
Well, we probably have still a little time, but I'd like to get it sooner
Yeah.
than later.
At least get an answer on it.
Because it's very detrimental. You know, we're a small village,
Right.
and I don't want to put this burden on the taxpayers. You know, we have approximately, what, 640, 50, you know, people that, households that we just don't want to tax anymore. And that's why I say, if we can get this, it's something that we can do in the future if we have some of this money. You know, it might be only $2, a few dollars, but the few dollars I am more than welcoming as such. So I think in essence, it's a good gesture on our part to, you know, follow through and ask. If we don't ask, we will not receive, period. We know we age for it. And even if we've asked in the past, we did not get, you know, something, or we did not qualify. But now I think we should just promote that and try to get it. If anybody has any suggestions, please, you know, give them to Mr. Ballard and we can, or to me, you know, and we'll try to see what we can do to do anything in line. Thank you. Well, next is the up and coming agenda. Any items for that?
Presentations and the new police sergeants.
Okay.
And also, we're gonna try to put the salvage title non-compete clause. Hopefully we'll have it ready to be presented for the next meeting.
Anything else?
I'd like to keep this Main Street progress on.
Okay, because we'll have that meeting also before our next meeting too, so that will be.
Do you want to have Teams and Prospect also, and have an update on that next meeting?
Yeah, we could.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Mr. Ballard.
Because they have
Thank you.
started work, they
Yeah, they
demolished
started.
the
Yeah,
old
the
culvert,
bridge is gone,
and they
yeah.
just barely started doing the water line, and then there was a bit of a
It was a, yeah, a itch.
pitch, yes.
I see they have a couple new manholes there. One for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was down there
That's,
today
that's a
myself.
valve box.
yeah, that's as far as they got that day.
Okay, well, I'll ask them a further question.
I can provide an update if you'd like.
Oh, you're welcome to.
Yeah.
On Teach Street, the water main was cut and capped on Monday, and they did the structure demolition right after that. Then Fenton Excavating was in Friday to start water main construction. They got to put the new water main under the existing culvert, so they need to build that water main. And they were doing that Friday morning, but there was a disagreement between the on-site guy at Fenton and the on-site guy for Z Contracting, and that had to get ironed out for a few hours, so not much else got done Friday, but Fenton is available to do water main work. They've squared things away, and they'll be doing, they were going to start today, but some of the pipe was class 52 thickness, some was class 54 thickness. The village wants class 54 thickness, so they were swapping that out today. The other two pieces of pipe are in, so tomorrow they'll be back doing water main work. That might take them a day or two. Meanwhile, Contact is delivering the pieces of the structure to the site, and then it actually gets assembled on site. And I believe Fenton is going to be the one setting the structure for Z Contract. So it'll be water main work for a few days, and then building the structure and setting the structure after that.
That's exciting.
I know they had to bring in a construction box down there, like, when they were digging, I guess it was, the sides were all falling in, it was so wet.
Right.
I see there was very little water flow today, which is good too.
Yeah.
There's a trickle going through there early.
Yeah, so,
That works out well.
yeah. Also, by just generally looking at it, and naturally I knew what it was before they started, and then just seeing the operation so far, to me, it looks like it's gonna move real fast. I Am I right, Mr. Scott?
It should. We're waiting for a contract to deliver the pieces, and they gotta put it together, which I think takes a couple days. But once it's together, they'll put the bedding down in the riverbed, and they use their larger excavator to set it. So then it's backfill after that, and put it back together. So once it's built, it'll go pretty quick.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean,
I think in their original schedule, they had 3 weeks for the Teats culvert. So it should be okay.
Well, we'll be satisfied if it's the
Do you
same.
know if we'll have a progress meeting with them?
We talked today about that, and we will, but it just seems like their progress hasn't been substantial
Right.
enough to do that. So once we know that the culvert's there and it's gonna be replaced or whatever, and they're gonna start to put that in and then turn their attention to the next one, then we'll have a progress meeting.
And
And
you'll
then
set
from
that
there,
up?
we'll set them up and have them regular every other week.
Okay, and you'll set that up? Okay.
Very good, thanks, Doc. And at this time, the floor is open up to citizens' comments.
Ben?
Name for the record, and
Ben Delecki. So, as the chief, I'd like to welcome the 2 new council members, Shaw and Belkey. My comment tonight is going back to a few months ago when Trustee Sterrett was still on the board and he was pushing for a village manager or some kind of a coordinator or project manager. And I think now with the Main Street project, you guys have seen that if you would have hired somebody, you could have paid for them for a couple of years in what it's cost you in this Main Street project. So in hindsight.
Cost us what? I don't know where you're coming with that. I hate to interrupt you, but
Okay.
I don't know where that statement's coming from.
Okay, so wasn't there kind of a problem with curbs and water?
well, it was with water, we had some of that, and that was $22,400. And I don't think that would pay for, a manager, and, so.
But if you had a manager that would have put that in the beginning, you still would have paid the same $22,000. There's no additional cost there that I'm aware of.
Well, okay, but the money that you spent wasn't the 80-20, it was 100% for the village.
It was all gonna be 100% of the
Yeah,
water.
the
The
water.
water's 100% anything.
Yeah.
I just knew you wouldn't want an incorrect statement out there.
No, that's true. But again, something with the curves. So what my point is, if you had somebody that kind of watched over the whole project and looked at it, everybody here is part-time and a volunteer, and I applaud you for your service. So it isn't a slight on anybody here. It's just that if you have a big project and one person is watching that project, it goes a lot smoother than, a lot of people that don't really do it all the time.
Well, we don't like to point fingers.
And I'm not pointing
No,
fingers,
no,
nor am I even insinuating
No,
that
I
anybody did anything wrong. I'm just pointing out that this is a good example, and you've got more projects coming up, and I think it's something that you ought to look at.
But even if you had a manager, Ben, that does not make them an engineer.
Understood?
You know,
You need somebody tenacious, and you have somebody on staff that could do what you need to do.
And
Well, I
just
think,
reading the paper, it's not unusual to see towns very unhappy with their village managers. Sterling Heights has gone through some. I mean, it's not
It's not the title.
cure-all that some people think it is.
And I understand, but if you have somebody that is watching everything from beginning to end, it's a lot easier than if you have everybody kind of trying to do it.
well, see, now too, Ben, I come back with the idea of actually, we hire these engineers at a highly cost.
But somebody's got to watch the engineers. You found that out on the Main Street, on the North Fulton project.
The thing is.
I mean, Sherry knows all too well what the engineers can do to you.
Well, that's the thing, but there's so many people that where it starts, they have so many people underneath them and over them that they should be checking some of this stuff too. And if they're human, naturally some of it maybe's been missed. And so that's where, you know, our overrides come sometimes. And naturally, we don't like it. We sure didn't like this $22,400. And that's why I say we want to try to recoup as much as we can on any part of that project.
But there's also time on that $22,000. Didn't that slow you down?
Well, what, about 2 days? If it was 2 days, is that about right, Mr. Clark? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
our
that's no
understanding
water.
was. So if our understanding's that, I mean, I think, you know, some projects, maybe it'd be weeks. I mean, we have an engineer here, he could probably tell us some of that stuff, you know, so, which, I mean, we can realize, you know, ourselves. So it's agreeing with you somewhat, Ben. You know, sometimes maybe there is something that could be done. But then again, look at our you know, our budget too sometimes, and look at our general fund, you know, it's going down. It's going down.
Understood, Mark, but I've been in business for over 40 years, and I know that you can cut money and not spend money and spend more money by spending the monies wisely. If you have somebody in place to do something, you can actually save money.
That's another person we can blame too. So
Excuse me?
it's another person we can blame too.
Well,
So, I mean, it's not a laughing situation.
no, and again, I don't mean to slight anybody, and I really think I've been opponent for this for 2 decades, that you have somebody in place. And it doesn't have to, you know, everybody keeps on talking about a manager, I use that term. That's really not what you need. You just need, a controller would be more of a term. So, somebody that can watch everything and see it all go through rather than and coordinate with everybody. So coordinate with all the commissioners and have that person at all the meetings, because the commissioners can't be at all the meetings with all the contractors, to make sure all the bills come through, when a change order comes through, to document the change order and do as Chief Howard does and his guys with the salvage titles. And Trustee Cooper, that was a whole lot of the problem that they had with the Fulton Street project, wasn't it?
I don't know where that went awry.
I mean,
Crazy.
I'm just pointing out, you know, sometimes when you spend money, it doesn't really cost you the money that you think that it does, because it saves you money in the long run. It's like a flu shot.
Well, in essence too, I mean, the fact is.
Can I put that in the minutes?
Yeah, use the wrong term, I don't get flu shots.
In defense of Mr. Starrett also, Mr. Starrett did have a good idea, you know, that, we're not bypassing that, you know, so.
And I thought this was the perfect time to bring it up, and I'm done, and thanks for listening to me.
And eventually, I mean, it may happen too, you know, so, which would help your wish too, so. We understand that, thank you, very kindly.
Well, being on planning, I kind of see stuff that, you know, so.
Very good presentation, thank you.
What about if you had a consultant that you hired just that when you had a big project, you know, was coming up, and then you coordinated with that consultant, so he'd be part-time?
Well,
Again, but it'd be a
we've talked
consultant.
about that in the past, Mike, yes, we sure did, so, we put a lot of time into it, in fact, it dates back
Kind of
to,
what we do with.
you know, some of the previous presidents and such, and David
You're a
and
consultant.
Steve has been here a long time, Mr. Clark too, you know, so. And I've been
Sorry,
on
Doug.
council about 8 years, so I've heard some of it, you know, so. But I think we've touched on it, so it's, eventually, it might be in the county. Thank you. Okay, let's move on here.
One other citizen comment.
Yes, sir.
Just, if Mr. Ballard's okay with it, I'll give you just 1 minute on your scrap tire grant.
Sure, go ahead.
So, I don't know when it was, a couple months ago, I reported to the council that there's only one supplier of this liquid that goes into the scrap tire mix. They're out of by Essexville, by Bay City, and it would be not economical to bring that mix down here. So we met with the DEQ after that, and actually got a pretty good education from the DEQ. And there are 2 ways actually of meeting the scrap tire program requirements. One is using the liquid, which actually is made in Toledo. It has a very short shelf life, has to be constantly agitated from the time it's loaded in a truck until it's used. You have 24 hours.
that includes transit time. So that puts a lot of burden on the asphalt plant, because when they order that, they're committing in their plant to use that. And if you have a delay, or if you have a weather delay, somebody's gonna eat the cost of that truck of liquid. Hence, the price is more expensive. So there isn't an environmental concern like we were told initially with him making this. That's not why other plants don't wanna make it, because the DEQ has arranged to give them a temporary relief from their environmental permits if they make this asphalt mix. So it kind of took a bullet out of the plant's guns. But the other plants just don't want to mess with it because it ties their plant up. There's some other production issues with it, and they're not comfortable with it. So there's only one plant that's making it. However, there is a supplier out of Wisconsin that is making a crumb rubber product that is shipped in bags, and it's actually a finely granulated scrap tire rubber that gets added to the asphalt mix differently than this liquid does. It doesn't have a shelf life like the liquid, so it can be used anytime. And they can change their operation at the plant from making a regular mix today at 2 o'clock to today at 4:30. They can make this mix because they add it after the product has come through the plant. So it's friendlier. Supposedly it might be a little cheaper. So that company has used this mix in many other states for quite a few years, but they haven't been able to break into the Michigan market yet because there's been some lobbying against them from the Asphalt Association. So that person was contacted, and he has met with the asphalt plants, and we know that at least one plant, and we're getting more on a second one, would be willing to make that mix with that other product. So if the second one agrees to make it, they have a plant just south of Port Huron that would be within your service area. So you could potentially use that. So we tried to ask the DEQ a question about how long does Armada have to accept their grant? What if you accept it and then we find out that this other supplier can't, or this other plant won't make it? Are you obligated for that grant? And the person at the DEQ said that the question has to come from the grantee, from the village. They won't answer it from us. Okay, whatever.
Can you say
So-
you're our consultant?
We did that. So I sent that email to Lyle. Lyle sent the email on to the DEQ asking those questions. How long do you have to accept your grant? If you accept it and we find out the asphalt isn't made or it's not economical, can you void the grant and not incur costs? And I don't know if you heard back from them.
Have not heard back from him yet.
So there's still hope for a scrap tire? Well, we haven't found that out yet?
He did tell me, he said, well, you've passed the deadline for the contract sign. And I said, we're still looking for somebody to make the mix, you know? And so he was kind of abrupt with me, and so I shot him off an email, which I see from you, and I have not received.
So we're waiting to hear back from them, and we'll see. I just don't want to see the village enter into an agreement that could potentially cost you something. It's not really worth the risk.
Refresh my memory, what was the percentage on this one? Was it 80-20?
50-50.
50-50.
And Armada was one of the communities that received all the grant money they asked for. A lot of the other communities received half of it. And in the future, when we met with the DEQ, he shed some light on this. Their overall goal is to try to encourage people to find other ways of using scrap tires. Not necessarily asphalt. Asphalt happens to be one of the easier ways to use it, and they've done well with that. But what they want is something that could be sustained and other ways of using it. So their program has been changing where they're taking a higher percentage of their money and putting it into innovation, and then less into asphalt. And they're going to continue that over the next 2 or 3 years to the point where there won't be anything available for asphalt. It'll all be for innovation and marketing.
I know they use that for mulch, I've seen it.
Yes.
And also you can use it playground, you know, that's already on the market. I know that for sure, I've seen it.
So they're trying to be innovative about it, and, I mean, I look at it like, if this is a way of using scrap tires to make them into something that's marketable, that we can empty scrap tire pits out with,
Sure.
get rid of that environmental hazards, whatever, however you use it, I'm okay with it.
Would this Wisconsin company be willing to do a deal with us if we put their name down on there too? Because
Well,
we'd be the first one in
I've got the
Michigan.
Wisconsin company here, that was that flyer, that was that packet that I had last week. So I've got their packet.
Are they
right
willing
here.
to discount their price even lower because we're the first
No
one in
idea.
Michigan?
I wanna make sure that we have a plant here that's gonna be able to
They'll do
use it.
it.
Right, right.
And what he tells us the added cost is for using this doesn't reflect what the asphalt paver is gonna charge us to put it down.
Right.
Because you got the plant that, incurs costs and the paver or whatever, so that's just.
Very good, thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.
Next is council comments. Any?
We have a concert on Wednesday. It's 2 days gone, and I'm hoping it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
Watching the radar.
Oh, don't say that.
I know.
We got any events? Any? Mr. Dilly.
So, when's the last concert?
August 12th.
August 12th. Okay, so that will be a joint venture, so the Armada Business Association will be back with drinks and foods for all the attendees.
And the Soggy Bottom Boys will be there.
Yep.
So
We practiced last
Yeah.
night.
good.
It's the Armada.
It's quite an event. You don't want
Yes.
to miss that
It's a
one.
lot of
Sure
fun.
is.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you
Be
for
there.
your contribution.
The next three are all very local bands.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And all the rock and roll is kind of at the last half of the schedule, so.
And at this time, we don't have a closed session, and it's proper to go ahead with the adjournment.
The time is 7:50. I make a motion to adjourn.
Sport.
Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Was that
Motion
Eli?
carried.
Yes.